Welcome back to another episode of Life After the Show. Now, as always, we're talking about the Yankees, right? And I got to say this. I got to start the episode off this way. I'm seeing everything that you guys are saying, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's the comments on my YouTube page, whether it's the amount of headlines that I'm reading, where every single person that has watched the Yankees for a serious amount of time is really upset. And I got to say, I really mean this. I got to say that this is probably the first time that I'm starting to actually feel like this is the most justifiable moment that I've been a part of with the Yankees where you guys can be this angry. Now, I think that part of the anger comes from the fact that people that are fans of the Yankees are used to the Yankees operating in a certain manner, right? You guys are used to seeing big moves be made, whether that's them going out and signing the best free agent, or them going out and making a massive trade to bring another star to New York, or if you guys are older than me, then you're used to seeing the Yankees World Series just stack up on top of each other. But if you guys are the same age as me, you haven't really witnessed any of those. You know, I can't even I can't do the math off the top of my head. Um, I know that it's been a long time that the Yankees haven't won a World Series. I'm not even going to try to do the math because I don't want to have to restart this if I can't get the math right. But it's been a long time since the Yankees have won a World Series. And so I think that with every single year that goes on, those Yankees fans are getting really, really upset. Okay. And I think that somewhere in the last few years, things had started to change for the Yankees. And none of us really were paying too much of attention to it because they would still mix in some big moves every now and then. But I think that the way that they want to operate is exactly how they have in the past. But I believe that there's something causing them to not be able to operate the way that they want to. And I can't help but think that it's that lockout. You know, every single spring training that I was a part of, when we were sitting at the beginning of spring training, Tony Clark and company would sit up there and they would say, "Hey, after the 2025 season, get ready. Like dig in. We're going to be locked out." And so they had that date circled on their or on their calendar for years. I'm talking years ago. We were already talking about the expiration of the CBA whenever we inked the new one because they knew that every single time that it came around that something was going to happen and they would be going one way with the MLB owners and then the players union would go this way and then there would just be all this space that you got to fill with these things that each person wants to be done. And usually during the lockout, you got to give something to get something. And I think that salary cap is happening. I don't think that's good for the sport. I think it's going to be bad for the sport, but I think that it's inevitable that it's going to happen. And I think that the owners know. You know, you got to believe that the owners know what they're bringing to the table and how they're going to get it and what they're going to maybe give up to be able to implement that, you know? And I think that there's going to be some serious penalties that come along with these teams that go over the threshold. And I do believe that maybe that's constricting some of these teams in the way that they're operating right now. You know, we're seeing that some of these teams just don't really care. They've never really gone out and done anything to move the world for their organization in a better manner. And then you got teams like the Yankees where the fans, that's all they're used to. And right now, their owner's broke. That dude's got no money apparently. And all of a sudden, no money right around the time that the lockout's coming. So makes you wonder, you know, I think that the owners have a serious amount of leverage in these situations because players can demand the money that they want, but the owners don't have to sign them. The owners can wait it out. The owners have thousands of players inside their organization that they can just rely on that are cheaper, that might be able to go out and do, you know, 25, 30, 40, 50, maybe 100% of what that player that's a free agent already does. I think it's a bad time to be a guy like Kyle Tucker during this moment when the CBA is looming with a lockout and you are probably going to be wanting to get about 400 million because I don't know if these teams are going to want to give it to you. You might go for less because of the year of the free agency that you're a part of. And so I think that that's a huge issue. You know, I got to believe that when Brian Cashman sits up there and answers these questions that he probably has more that he wants to say. You know, You got to believe that. You got to believe that a guy like Brian Cashman, he gets off to these big signings, you know? He gets off to the fact that he's the GM of the New York Yankees. One of the maybe I think the longest tenured active GM right now. You know, when I spoke to him a couple years ago, he made the comment to me saying that he has the most World Series out of any active owner in the last 20 years. So he keeps tabs on those things. And you have to believe that he wants to add another trophy to that case, because I would assume that he hears the things that people are saying. He hears the fans saying that he inherited all those players from past GMs in the past, and that he really didn't do anything outside of the core four since it's been since they've been done. And so you have to wonder if a guy like him is foaming at the mouth to make one of these moves. But maybe the hierarchy is saying, "Hey man, hold on, pump the brakes. We're not going to do that yet. One more year. We'll wait after the CBA. We don't know." They haven't said anything. But when Hal Steinbrenner starts the offseason off with the comments talking about how, you know, he would like to potentially stay under the threshold, and then you see some conflicting reports, people of media power saying, "Oh no, the Yankees are going to blow past it." Then you got others like Michael Kay being like, "Nope, nope, they're not going to do it." I mean, it's pretty it's people are pretty torn on what the direction of this team's going to be in terms of, are they going up or below the 300 million salary cap? I mean, what are we going to do? Because some of the players that you want on your beloved Yankees will put you right at that luxury tax threshold or above it. And I think that the Yankees know that. I think that for the first time in the Yankees, last couple of years, they're very vulnerable. I think that when the season ended the way that it did, that the Yankees fans maybe had some optimism. Now let me finish what I'm saying. You might have had optimism after you lost to the Blue Jays, because you would assume that your team, your ownership, your GMs would not allow another team inside your division to be better than you and to go on to the World Series, especially if you're the New York Yankees. But the way that this offseason is going, I think that optimism has quickly shifted to some, we aren't so optimistic anymore. Because the Blue Jays went out, got Dylan Cease, they've got a few relievers, and then the Yankees go out and they sign back all the same players that were a part of the team that couldn't beat the Blue Jays. Now, if the Blue Jays were able to go out and get Bo Bichette and Alex Bregman, like I'm seeing, either one of the two, if they get two of the two, or if they get Kyle Tucker, the Yankees are going to be in a serious position to where they're going to have to do something. And you don't want to see a frantic move get made, because I don't know if you should do that. I don't think that they're just going to go out and just throw money to a random person. But we saw that Trent Grisham got $22 million, and it begs the question to wonder if that $22 million is the reason why they're maybe not able to offer more money to these other players. Now, I think that the teams within the AL East, they see blood in the water. They think that, wow, if the Yankees, the team that has always been the top dog of the division in most cases, aren't going to make a move, and our team is right there with them. And, in most cases, I think that teams might be unrealistic, or they might be realistic, where they think that their team's better, or they know that their team's not better. But I think right now that there's at least two teams in that AL East, maybe three. I would say three. The Orioles, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays, they're all thinking to themselves, our team is better or as good as the Yankees right now. And I think that's a scary thought if you're that Yankees front office, and and you have to know that those other teams are right there above you, or whatever you want to consider them, and they're making moves while you're making minor moves. Okay, we're on a major league team making minor moves, and I'm starting to wonder. Okay, because I'm seeing that Brian Cashman's making comments where he's saying that there's not a lot of inventory out there that he likes, and I mean, we looked at it yesterday. All of us looked at it. I posted the video. We looked at the free agents that are out there. There's a ton of really good players. I don't know how he doesn't like the inventory in the free agent market. I don't know how he looks at the trade block and he thinks that's a better option than these free agents. Because, look, he's going to have to give up some decent players, whether they're on the major league roster, whether they're guys deeper in the minor league system or at the higher levels. We don't know until they get traded. But you're going to have to give up pieces of your team and of your farm system to get some of those players on the trade block. And if you go out and you do the free agent market, you don't have to give up players. Like, you don't. It's safer. It's one of those things. You could maybe do a short-term deal. There's plenty of guys. Your team is vulnerable. You have positions that need to be filled with guys that are for sure going to go out and do what they do. I mean, I can't remember the last time that I read so many quotes where, whether it's Aaron Boone or whether it's Brian Cashman, where the only thing that they're talking about is the optimism of a player bouncing back. I mean, I just saw that Doval, however you say his name, from the Giants that they got, they're optimistic that the way that he ended his 2025 season is an indicator that 2026 is going to be him on the up again. And then you got them being optimistic that some of these younger players can bounce back. And then you've got some question marks in the bullpen. And then you got a couple starting pitchers that are going to start the year on the injured list and trickle their way back into the lineup. And then you got a couple positions, whether that's shortstop or whether that's left field, that you don't know what it's going to look like. You have a vision of what you want it to look like, but you don't know what it's going to look like. And you don't want to get caught at the beginning of the season or midway through the season, or even, God forbid, at the end of the season, where you're like, damn, like we should have made these moves. Like, the clock is ticking. These other teams are adding. You can't just be sitting there content, you know? I don't really know how there's such a disconnect between what all of us are seeing versus what they're seeing. It really is, to me, a little eye-opening. And I do believe what's happening here is, again, I said it in the past, the Yankees are really good at like taking away all the negativity that you're thinking and trying to put it in a positive light. You know, they deflect all of that negativity away, and they're like, no, we know what we're doing. We've got this master plan. Watch, it's going to work out. But when it doesn't work out, you have a avalanche of people that make their way and they march in the same direction, and they just voice their opinions together. They all come together and they all say the same things. And that's the reason that those people that are a part of that team, and even the players, have to answer the questions, is because the front office and ownership, they have the time and they have the ability to do something in a positive manner for the org. But right now, they're not doing it. They're not being proactive. They're adding players that are good major league players, but they're not starters. You know, I mean, I'm reading again that Ahmed Rosario's down in Florida working on first base. Like, when in what world would you have thought that when you got Ahmed Rosario last year, that he would be your backup first baseman? I know he said that he worked on first base whenever he was in Washington and he never made it in. But when did it ever cross any of your minds that that was going to be your backup first baseman to Ben Rice? Which, thank God, he emerged and became the player that he did. Because if not, I mean, could you imagine a world where they would potentially have to fill the shortstop, left field, and first base all in one offseason? I mean, that would be dark times. That would be a time where you would no doubt see them not be able to pull that off. And if they did, it would be a player that would be underwhelming in the eyes of the fans, and probably put up some numbers that, you know, aren't going to push your team across that finish line. And I think that if we're just being realistic here, you know, I don't I just I have a hard time being optimistic for him. I do. But I do believe that there's going to be moves made. I'm wondering that if they do make one big move this offseason, which I assume that if they do make a big move this offseason, it's going to be Cody Bellinger. And if they do make that Cody Bellinger move, then what moves follow? You know, I don't think that if they get Cody, that they're going to have enough resources in mind to be able to go out and do something big. Again, it might be some minor stuff. And again, minor stuff can end up being big in the end. But I don't know what they're going to do if they get Cody, and I don't know what they're going to do if they don't get Cody. I think that we're going to all be watching very closely. We're going to all be voicing our opinions, and it's really going to be interesting to see what direction they go in, regardless if they get Cody or if they don't get Cody, because I just can't see another player that's a free agent right now getting signed by them that's a big one on the market outside of Cody. They seem to be pretty zeroed in on him. You know, we keep seeing his name surface. We're seeing that Aaron Judge is doing some of the heavy work and trying to bring Cody back, which I would assume that Cody's got a ton of suitors and that he's going to be able to choose wherever he wants to go. And if he's looking at that team versus the other teams, maybe the Dodgers are offering him. We haven't seen it yet, but if he's looking at these teams and he's doing a little compare and contrast, and he's seeing that, okay, the offers are about the same, whether that's the amount of money that I'm making, whether that's the yearly salary, whether that's the amount of years that I'm getting. But the biggest difference is that the Yankees are kind of staying right here while I'm watching some of these other teams go right here. Like, you're going to lose them. You're going to lose them. I don't think that the whole New York thing is enough to bring him in if he's sitting there and he wants to win a World Series and get paid. Because, I don't think he's just trying to get paid. I think he wants to win. And I think he wants to be a part of an org that actually wants to get better. And so there are other orgs that are doing that right now. And there are other orgs that will probably be offering the same amount of money that the Yankees can offer. And maybe they're going to be offering more because your owner's broke, got no money. So I'm I'm kind of with you guys. I'm trying to be the voice of the people. I'm literally trying to show you guys my point of view, which very much co-aligns with a lot of y'all's point of views, because right now this is an interesting time. I think that things can change. I think that we're going to have to see something happen in a good manner for the Yankees to make the fans be quiet. And even if something good happens, I think that those Yankees fans are still not going to have a lot of optimism. So just makes you wonder, is 2026 going to be a good season, a middle of the road season, or a season where everybody's pissed off? And so I can't wait to see it unfold. I can't wait to keep putting these videos out here, whether it's a good thing that happens for the Yankees, whether it's a bad thing. I'm going to be here with y'all for the entire ride. So as always, thank you for watching. Drop whatever comments you want. If you want to come to the comments section to vent, we vent. Okay? We vent. And it's good. It's good to get it out. So get it out and let's move on. And let's just continue to rock with the Yankees for good or for bad. So as always, thanks for watching.